Hey guys, it's me. It's Queen Osset Haru, and thank you for joining me for another wonderful edition of Ask an Aquarius. If you haven't already, please hit the red subscribe button and smack the bell. Alright guys, if you like this video, don't forget to give it a thumbs up and drop a positive comment in the comment section. And pass this video on to your friends and your loved ones. So let's talk about something that was very interesting to me. We've touched on this before, but whenever more than one person says something to me in a short frame of time, I know it's something that I need to really go over again. We need to discuss it again, and I'm cool with that. So I wanted to talk to you guys because a lot of my subscribers, as a matter of fact, it was like 4 or 5 of them, recently mentioned to me not knowing how to decipher love and lust. How do you decipher those two? And as an Aquarius, this is a great question for me because I've been infatuated and in lust so many times that I can't even count, and later realize that. Because love and lust and infatuation all feel very similar. You ever notice that? It's like this high, And according to the scientists, you are high. They're saying that your body is something to do with your hormones. So when you start to like somebody, there's some kind of alchemical hormonal thing that goes on in your body, but it doesn't last. So whatever this hormonal alchemical thing is, this dose of serotonin or whatever is coming from, it lasts, according to them, 6 months to 2 years or something like that. Very vague window of time, but it doesn't last is the bottom line. So if it's just infatuation, if it's just lust, it's not going to last. And a lot of people really feel like love and lust and infatuation feel very similar, because they do. It's that same rush. It's that same feeling of goosebumps and warmth and, all the feelings that you get with that. And even the emotional feelings that you come along with it. They are very similar. But like I said, if it's lust or infatuation, it's not going to last. Also, being as though I've been through this so many times, you guys would not believe. If you talk to my friends, my real friends, they will tell you that for a long time, I was a serial monogamist. And I was a serial monogamist. I was constantly in love. I was in love this week. I was in love next week. And it was crazy because I really wasn't lying. I wasn't making it up or just saying I was in love. I was really feeling something strong. And what I was feeling was either lust or infatuation or a combination of both. Usually it was a combination of both. So a lot of times this would happen to me. I would meet somebody. I would like her so much. I mean, so much. I mean, like, oh my God, like her so much. And I'll be talking about her all the time. My friends would be like, here we go. And no more than 90 days later, I'm not with that person no more. I have broke up with them. And my friends are like, okay, what happened this time? And after a while, I started to realize why they were responding to me like that, because I keep on going through the same damn pattern. So what would happen in those 90 days? I would go from this high of liking them and they're so beautiful, and I'd be on this high, and then it would slowly come down. And why is that? Because a person's representative shows up at first, and she's this beautiful, glowing, flowing goddess, and I'm like, wow. And after 90 days, their humanity has set in. Those flaws, those imperfections, those parts of them that you can't see while their representative is out. Some people hide it longer than others, but for most people, it's about 90 days. And once I start to see that, my infatuation starts to go down. The lust might be there for a little while, but my infatuation starts to go down. And then I don't want to do this no more. I don't want to be with this person no more. And my friends are like, oh, here we go again, And that is how you can tell love from infatuation or lust. Because number one, it does not last. love is something that even if the person and you never see each other again, even if you never talk to that person, even if that person crazy, no matter what happens with that person, that feeling is still there. If you ever love somebody for real, it's still there. It's still inside of you. That's why that quote by Harry Potter, you can't see it, but it's tattooed on my arm at the top, always. That's why I got always. Because to me, Professor Snape represented always. That love that never dies. Like Bram Stoker's Dracula, true love never dies. So that always, that is how you know it's true love. Because it doesn't wear off. The excitement and the butterflies, all of that is natural to happen in the beginning. Infatuation and lust is natural to happen in the beginning too. But if you get to that 5-month, 9-month, 12-month mark, and you still really care about this person, you still feel very connected to this person, you're still building and growing with this person, then more than likely your love is real. And somebody asked me, like, is there a way to be able to tell up front if it's love, lust, or infatuation? And I was just like, in the very beginning, it's probably infatuation. Very few people fall in love at first sight. Now, I know it does occur, or I've heard that it occurs. I have never experienced it because, like I said, for me, I've always found out later. I'm like, nah, that wasn't real because it didn't last in you. It fizzled out. And the only reason why I know this, is because I fell in love with Voldemort. And as sad and pathetic as that sounds, it's the truth. And if I hadn't experienced that, I wouldn't have known the difference between lust, infatuation, and love. Because no matter what has happened with Voldemort, no matter what happens, I don't even talk to Voldemort. I just, y'all already know how I am with Voldemort. But I never stopped having love for him. I just stopped allowing myself to engage in it, to think about it, to dwell on it, to even care about it. I'm Aquarius, so I can compartmentalize like that. I just cut it, and I don't even allow myself to even think or feel that way. But if you ask me, and mind you, that situation with Voldemort ended when I was like 29 years old. I am 42 going on 43. So because that happened, because I loved him, because that love, it never really died, that's how I know that there's a difference between love and infatuation. Because all of my infatuations, I can't even tell you where they are, how they are. I can't tell you that about Voldemort either, actually. But I've talked to Voldemort in like maybe the past 3 years or so. It's been at least 3 years, I'm thinking. When I first came here, yeah. So I'm thinking like almost 3 years now. The rest of them, except for the Taurus, because we got back in contact, I don't know where they at. And I was so into them, y'all. I was like, oh my God. I was so into these people. And that's the infatuation. And that's how I know there's a difference. If I had not had that experience did a lot of things for me. It really changed my life because once it happened, I had to change to move forward. I had to end that pattern, that unhealthy pattern. But one of the things it did for me is it showed me the difference between love and lust. If you truly fall in love with somebody, that shit don't go nowhere. That's why you gotta be careful in these streets, y'all. I am not playing seriously. You gotta be careful in these streets because if you fall in love with the wrong person, that is like a slow death. For a long time, it really bothered me. It's really bad. But like I said before, it's one of those kind of things that as an Aquarius, knowing that differentiation between lust and love, infatuation and love, was great for me to be aware of. So now I can come to you and say, yeah, true love doesn't die. Infatuation is something that it can't exist forever. You can't be that giddy and hormonal forever. It has to even out at some point in time. So for an infatuation to come down is really not a bad thing if the two people are still compatible and still working together. But for the infatuation to come down is actually normal. According to scientists, the hormone level has to come down eventually. That's why it takes between 6 months to 2 years. It takes a little bit of time for it to come back, the levels to come back down. So once they come back down, if y'all still compatible and still working together, you're not going to feel that raciness and that heartbeat. You're not going to feel that, but you're going to fall. Usually, if you're still working together and compatible, you're going to fall in love with them. So in love usually happens after a period of time. The infatuation is usually what's first. So over time, you fall in love with them. Over months of time, doing things together, being there for each other, bonding, then you fall in love. Also, a lot of people, their relationship is just based on sex. If you're just having sex and not doing anything else, chances are not high that you're in love. And the reason why I say that is because you really don't know that person. You have to know a person. You have to bond with the person to really be in love with them. And a lot of people are not doing that. They're just straight up having sex. They're coming over at 9 o'clock at night, having sex till 10:30 and leaving. And then they'll come to me and say, I'm in love with her. I'm in love with him. And I'm like, you don't even know him. You don't even know her. And that's not love. That's infatuation. And it also has a lot to do with needing somebody. We all like closeness. We all like bonding. So some of the times that turns into an infatuation that we think is love. But like I said, love it builds over time. And when two people are truly in love with each other, it's a match. They are compatible. They are eye to eye. They're not perfect. They make mistakes. They forgive each other. They go through changes. But they're both consistently trying at the same time. That's in love. The feelings are there. The effort is there. Everything is there. And that's when you are truly in love with somebody. So if you're in a situation right now and you're trying to figure out which is which, think about the things that I just mentioned to you. Is it just a sexual encounter? It could be even years. I know somebody that was sleeping with somebody for 12 years and they never really had a conversation. They never went out to have a dinner. They never had some coffee. They never did anything, talk, anything other than have sex for 12 years. And I was like, wow. And that happens a lot because I've had this conversation with more than one person. So if you're trying to differentiate between these vibrations, just know that love is real and it's based on bonding. It's based on time. It's based on longevity. It's based on emotion. And infatuation is just when you see the person, they look amazing, and you just start to feel excited about being around them. And this can turn into love, but it doesn't always. So you got to be really careful with the two. Okay? All right, guys, it's time for me to get going. So if you like this video, please give it a thumbs up. And if you would like to get a reading done, please email me and I will give you an appointment for a reading. Also, please check out my Patreon page because I need some more patrons. I love having patrons, and every week I do an episode of the Witch Trials only on Patreon. Every once in a while I drop one here on YouTube. But if you want to see, there's 20 episodes of the Witch Trials right now on Patreon. All right, guys. See you later. Come back soon because I have a lot more to say.